commands that it needs to execute. So just there's two types of data structures that some of you might not be familiar with, which is one is the queue, one is the stack. You can add a list to that, but now the queue, well, let me just start with the stack. So the stack uses a last in first out approach, where if you're stacking data or if you pushing data to the stack, the last data or action that you push is going to be the first one to be executed, but it's the opposite if you're using a queue. So the first in is going to be the first out. Okay. So that's why you're going to use a stack for the undo method. So if you, so over here, so let me just grab a highlighter. Over here you've got the queue for the commands, and then here you've got a second one, which is a stack. And then in your execute method in your invoker class, remember it should have an execute method. And then what you want to do is you want to execute all the methods that have been loaded over there, and then we should remove the methods. So we just say command that execute all the methods, and then whilst we are pushing the methods to our stack. Okay. And then now if you using the undo, so we're still in the invoker class, so if you're using the undo, we are now going to say, okay, we need to now pop whatever method that was inserted last in our methods over there. Okay, and then this is now where you are going to execute your method or the number of series in your invoker class, where you can add your commands. You add your commands, and then if you want to undo that, and then you execute, which is going to obviously now run your while loop, and then your undo, if you want to undo the operation at this parameter, you can. And then one thing that was mentioned that a command pattern is good for is executing a number of commands, and we're going to use a macro command for that. It actually allows one command to execute multiple commands with a single execution. And then this is now where we said we are removing the client from being responsible for the execution of commands. So an example that we're going to look at next, using macro commands. So now your macro command over here, so I'm just going to grab a highlighter. So your macro command over there. So what we do is we load our list with a number of commands that should be executed. And then in our what's this? So in our, so we just pass that through in the list of commands. And then in the execute, we now need to specify that we need to execute these commands. Okay. And then the undo obviously is going to undo the commands that has been executed. So undo commands could possibly be run in reverse. It depends on whatever situation that you're working on. Okay, so we've now been looking on broader terms for these patterns. I'm sure some of you, if not all, have been lost on what can we use this pattern for. So this is now going to provide you with an example of, so just to put the pattern into more context on how to use it, which class plays what role. So we're just going to use a remote control API, which is going to assist us into providing example for this pattern. So now let us look at, so this is a remote control, and the remote control is represented by your invoker class. It's a pity I cannot enlarge this image, but I'm going to provide you with the slides for that when we in your the actual slide so that you can be able to enlarge this example. And then we've got the remote loader as our client, and then our receiver, which is now responsible for 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 which commands or for specifying what happens when each command is invoked, is your light. And then we've got a light on command, which is responsible for turning on the light. And you can see that that is, so whenever this command is invoked, it in the receiver, it calls the on method. And then we've got a light off command, and whenever this is invoked, it calls the off method in the light through the command pattern, and then it does that in the remote. And then in your now, when a person wants to turn a light on, they click on the remote control, and then the light on command class is called, and then when they want to undo that, the light off command is called, and when the light off command is called, the off method is called, and then the on method is now removed. Okay, so let us just look at now the class diagram. I'm hoping that this is a little bit clear to you. So we've got our receiver, which is the light, which knows how to uh, turn on a light, and it also knows how to perform a light. And then we've got our command, which is the interface for decoupling the receiver to the invoke. And then this does that through its concrete classes, which execute these commands, the on and the off. So whenever the lights want to turn on, it calls the on method, as you see, light.on. And then whenever you want to turn off, it goes light.off. And then it does that obviously through the execute method. And then over here we've got on commands and off commands. And then when in the remote control, when the on button is pushed, the on command is executed, or the on receiver or action is executed, and when it's turned off, then that is executed. Okay, so if you now want to implement an undo, you can use both. So if your initial action is just to turn the light on, and if you want to undo that, you can turn the light off, and then if you want to undo that, or if you want to execute, you can just turn this one on. And then if you want to undo that, you can just call this method, which is going to be an opposite of that method. Okay, so welcome to the end of this pattern. We know that this pattern, the command pattern, decouples an object, making a request from one that knows how to perform that, and that is your receive object. So now this makes use of its execute method, which is obviously in the command interface, which invokes those actions on your receiver. And then this now can have a number of concrete commands, which obviously has the methods for, or objects which have the methods for commands to be executed. And then you've got your macro commands, which are a number of which execute one. So your macro commands are there so that you can have a number of requests just by executing one command. Okay, so now we're going to look at your code when we have our class. Okay, thank you.